Hello, everybody, and welcome back to First and Last. My name is Josh, and this week, Joe is still here.
Hey, man.
And Jimmy's back.
What's up, dogs?
Hello.
Look.
The crowd just goes mild.
Look at our analytics and see how many people just turned it off.
Just immediately hit skip.
Those are my people. The people who, they don't go wild. They just kind of, they're just here for the long haul, you know?
Yeah.
The people that are just there.
They're just like, this is what I expected. Okay.
Yeah. This doesn't
Nice.
give me anxiety.
Joe, for those who are anxiously awaiting the return of Jimmy after 1 week and somehow forgot what this podcast is about, what is First and Last?
It's a podcast where we take a TV show and watch only the first and only the last episode. Nothing in between. Not even if there's like a fun Christmas episode or a fun animated episode. We just skip that. Just the beginning and end. It makes no sense most of the time. To be honest.
It always makes sense. We always
It sometimes makes sense. Can we say that?
we always solve the crime
Mhm.
at the end. And speaking of crime,
Okay.
today we're doing
SVU. That's
we're
still
watching. No, we're not. We're watching Aquarius.
Okay.
On. Oh, that's a show.
It is a show. It is starring David Duchonvy of Californication fame.
Mm-hmm.
Gross. Let's edit that out and say X-Files, please.
Yeah, no, definitely of X-Files fame. It only went 2 seasons, and it was canceled after 2 seasons.
Okay.
It went from May 2015 to September 2016. It ran 2 seasons and 26 episodes.
Before we get too deep into Aquarius,
Yes.
you texted earlier that it was going to be a Duchovny show.
Yes.
So I just did like a little quick Google to see like what it could possibly be, because we've already done X-Files, we've already done Californication,
Right.
and then he really only has 2 other shows. One of them is Aquarius, a period crime drama, and the other one is Red Shoe Diaries, an American erotic drama series that aired on Showtime, distributed by Playboy Entertainment overseas.
Oh, like so very
wow.
erotic, potentially.
Yeah, I think it's essentially just softcore porn.
nighttime.
So I thought there was a
So-
chance.
That was a late night show.
So
Yeah.
are you happy or disappointed with my decision to do Aquarius instead?
I don't know. It would have been a different kind of show.
It
Episode-
definitely would have been a different kind of show.
I will say, Red Shoe Diaries, the first episode is not called Pilot. It's called Safe
Ooh.
Sex.
Of course it is.
Well, that's good. Well, in all fairness, the first episode of Aquarius is also not called Pilot, so
It's called Safe Sex.
it's called Safe Sex.
I thought
Underwater.
because when I thought because we had done X-Files, but we did the first and last before the sort of, it wasn't rebooted, but picked up where it left off.
Before it came back like 10 years later. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, oh, now are we just gonna watch the first and last of the picked up?
Hey, that was a possibility.
Because
And
that's
after
done now, supposedly.
Right. After I picked Aquarius, I did go, wait, should we do the end of X-Files? Which I think I watched all of that, but I can't remember. Very interesting.
I don't think I did.
Well, one day we'll do it on the show.
So
One
do
day.
you know what Aquarius is? The dawning of the age of?
I mean, basically, what the very first sentence in Wikipedia just calls it a period crime drama television series.
Okay.
Because I believe it takes place in the late 1960s.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it involves Charles Manson, right? I was gonna say Marilyn Manson. That's not right. He was not alive yet.
Well, I mean, wasn't he? Maybe he was like a baby boy. Like, what year was Marilyn Manson born?
I don't know. I guess he probably is. I would guess. I would not be surprised if he's much older than I thought he was.
He was born in 1969.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. A flower child.
It's like 50.
Yeah, it's 51 right
Marilyn
now.
Manson.
The
What
Marilyn
do you think
Manson.
He's doing? What do you think he's doing right now? In some
Just fucking rolling
some
around in
pleather.
money in some, like, wherever he wants to be. Like,
Just on an island by himself.
literally just living whatever life he wants to live away from society and COVID at large.
Oh, yeah. Probably got that Russian vaccine.
Yeah, Putin gave it to him today. He just stabbed it right into him and said, "You'll be fine, Marilyn. I am Putin."
Marilyn. What accent do you think Putin has?
1920s, old timey.
Take the vaccine, you see?
Yeah, I knew you were.
There you go.
I knew you were going that route.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was canceled, which is funny, but it was also one of the 8 series to receive the Critics' Choice Television Award for Most Exciting New Series in 2015. So it got an award for being a good new series, and then got canceled the next year.
This concept seems fun. Oh, it's bad. No, it's a bad show.
Isn't
What's
that
the
like
Aquarius of it?
I don't know.
I literally think it's because it's the dawning of the age of, which isn't like the 60s, the age of the Aquarius or something.
Yeah, then maybe I need that explained to me. What is the age of Aquarius other than the ending of 40-year-old virgin?
Is it just... you're going to make me Google it. Isn't it just like the Chinese New Year or some calendar that has what the years are? I don't know.
I
The
mean,
Chinese zodiac?
After
It has
these
to do,
messages...
with-
it must not be the zodiac.
It has to do with us. Well, some of it has to do with astrology, and so the revolution. Well, there's a revolution. That's Wikipedia is failing me right now. According to Wikipedia, it says the age of Aquarius in astrology is either the current or forthcoming astrological age, depending on the method of calculation. The astrological age is a product of the Earth's slow precessional rotation and lasts for 2,160 years on average.
The age of Aquarius is associated with the hippies of the 60s and 70s, and now with the New Age movement.
Common cultural associate. Yeah, see, you scrolled down faster than I did on the Wikipedia page. I see.
Yeah. So that song is from the musical Hair.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess if this show's called Aquarius in a way, and it takes place late 60s. I think it's 67 is when the series begins. Okay. And yes, it does have Marilyn Manson. Damn it, Jimmy.
Say it.
Charles Manson in it. It revolves around him. So I feel like it's going to be a some sort of like gritty, like kind of you ever watch Zodiac movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal? He's trying to find the Zodiac killer as like he's a reporter.
I like that movie.
It's a good movie. I kind of feel like it's going to have maybe a feel like that of just like David Duchovny. I'm assuming he's a cop though. And then there's like
he has one thing that he does.
Right. There's some sort of case involving something like he's trying to figure out a murder or something or someone's missing, and then And then that turns into all of a sudden he's like, hey, this Charles Manson, man. You got it in my head, Jimmy.
I keep picturing Charles Manson as Charlie from the Mighty Ducks, Joshua Jackson. I hope Joshua Jackson plays Charles Manson in this. Or Marilyn, whoever.
I almost for surely think that will not happen. But yeah, so like I'm assuming like episode 1 is David Duchovny's on a case. That case then at the end turns into something bigger.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I
Drugs.
think is good.
Do you think this is like pre Sharon Tate murders or like during or after? Is like Charles Manson being investigated, or is he like just chilling, being a weird cult guy? Pre?
I think pre. 67 to me seems like maybe he's not the Charles Manson that we know yet.
He's not the Charles Manson we know and love yet.
But it's
It's
that
brewing.
seems early
It's
for me. It's there for sure. What happened to him as a child? That maybe we'll get some of the backstory.
Yeah, this will just be like Gotham, but for Charles Manson. It'll just be.
Is that what we're
Oh
doing?
my
What
gosh.
are we in a month of premeditation? Shows?
Yes, that's what we're doing.
Origin stories.
Origin stories. I'm into that. Origin month. What month is this?
Like in real life, or
It's
What?
March the 4th. It's our 4th run of March.
Wow, we just kept trying to get through.
Yeah.
I had a thought, but I
wondering-
lost it.
oh, my one thing is I'm wondering if they'll be able to have any like Beatles music or anything.
Oh,
if it's like
that
the
was
late
it.
60s.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
I want to hear 2+ Beatles songs.
Okay. I mean, I'd be for that as well. Why not?
I heard an interesting stat earlier that I never really thought about. They were only a band for like 7 years. And they released like 30,000 songs, I feel like. And they were all hits
Yeah, and just like changed music.
and changed music forever, like you do. Not even like a full decade of Beatles we got.
Hey, they did what they needed to do, and then they moved on.
And then they got shot in the face.
Just like Sugar Ray. They moved on. They didn't get shot in the face.
Right,
I don't know what that's about.
And changed music and. So what
Yeah,
what about
Sugar Ray
Sugar Ray is
definitely
like the
changed
Beatles? Joe.
I'm having a hard time following that train of thinking as well.
They changed culture.
Sugar rated?
Yeah. Yeah, Now we all just want to fly.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. How about we watch this first episode of the show we're going to watch? It's called Everybody's Been Burned.
Oh. Okay.
Sounds like a fun one.
I hope it's not literal. I hope it's like, oh gosh, shoot.
Oh, God. Just everybody
Sick
for the rest of the
burn.
show.
Yeah, I hope it's more like Sick Burn and not like Wicker Man, where they burn everyone alive. And have you seen
Yeah, I mean,
that
we'll
movie
find
and
out.
the sequel with Nicolas Cage?
Nick Cage. Yeah, we'll find out. I mean, the show was on NBC, so I mean, it's either going to be surprisingly dark for NBC or just an NBC show. So
It's going to be like The Office.
it's going to be The Office, but with David Duchovny and Charles Manson.
And murder.
Charles Manson just making reaction shots to the camera. Ooh.
Charles Manson's gym. All right, let's get into it. We'll see you after the first episode of Aquarius. And we're back. We're done with the first episode of Aquarius. And yeah, we watched it. I forgot what his name was, a long name, and I'm not looking at it. So I failed. Everybody's
Everyone-
been burned.
Yeah.
There it is. Do you got a write-up for us, Jim?
Oh, you would like that, wouldn't you?
I would love it
If
so
I
much.
had that. Am I in the right interwebs? Okay. Well, this just says. So maybe we can do some filling in that Detective Sam Hodiak. So that's
David
what's his
Duchovny.
face? David Duchovny. Okay, so he's a detective, obviously, Detective Sam. So he's looking for teenager Emma Karn. And okay, I'll just read it straight off the page. Teenager Emma Karn is missing, and Ken, her well-connected Beverly Hills lawyer dad, is much more worried about political repercussions than about his underage daughter. Grace Karn calls LAPD Sam Hodiak for his help, and he recruits young talent officer Brian Schaaf. Does that sound right?
I mean, his name was Brian. I don't know about his last name.
I think it's Schaaf. I think that's how you pronounce it. And they go on an undercover to the teen party scene. They learn Emma was seen with a guy named Charlie, and their worries are fueled by Mason's arrest, his rap sheet. He's 33 and has spent half his life in prison for crimes ranging from possession to rape and attempted murder. Hodiak and Schaaf get new information from Mance's PO, and Ken has a very close encounter with Charles Manson, who is maybe about to rape him. It was, that's it. That was it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the end was Ken has a very close encounter, which is very vague.
I mean, that was the very end of the episode. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, quick rerun is Emma went to a party with her sort of boyfriend, and then it was definitely like a targeted type scenario where like Charles Manson sent his like 3 lady friends out to like kind of like wrangle her in to like so and get her out of the party so he could talk to her, and then he must have convinced her to like they all convinced her to like come with them to his like I don't know what has he got like some sort of probably compound or something awful like that.
Yeah. The Manson family.
Yeah. And then that's the next, I think a couple days later is when we see David Duchovny as Detective Sam, and Emma's mom asks him to like try to find her. And basically that's kind of what this episode is about for the most part, is he recruits this other dude named Brian, Detective Brian, to help, and then they go back to the party house and find out that it was a dude named Charlie Manson, and then they find all the crazy stuff about him, which I didn't realize that he had been like in so much jail. I'm sure they probably it's probably true-ish.
Yeah, I had to look that up. He definitely spent a lot of time in prison. Like they definitely had this guy locked up many times before, and it's kind of like, man, you let this guy out.
He had a long rap sheet.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be a like a fine line. I don't know what you do like after someone's like been in jail for such a long time, but if they're like serving their sentences and then they're getting out, it's like, you know.
Yeah. He was caught.
I don't know if you could just.
I don't remember which time it was, but he was caught raping a boy. So like, I guess, you know, he's a white man, so you let him off after a couple years for that.
Oh God.
But and then they also referenced in the show that he was he was in some sort of ring of shuttling, like basically getting women into prostitution and shuttling them around, and that's how he went. They got him into prison. And so that's how he's connected to, in this show, to Emma's dad. So you find out through the whole, basically the whole thing is that it was like premeditated, and that he's just trying to get Emma to his family cult thing because he's really trying to get to his dad.
Yeah,
Who
it's played at the
money,
beginning.
maybe? I don't know.
It's played at the beginning as if like Emma was just a random girl at his party, and he,
I mean,
he collects
it kind of
women,
was,
so.
but he knew her name.
Yeah.
He knew all kinds of stuff, yeah. And
Yeah.
but you didn't know why.
Mhm.
Right.
And you think maybe he's just a creep, and he's been.
Yeah, he
and
just
you
knows
would
things
be,
about
and you would be right.
people.
Well, true. Yeah. Yeah, and they play it off like his harem or whatever he's got. They're like, yeah, he just sees visions and he just like knows stuff. But really he's been like connected to her dad, and he was getting prostitutes for her dad, who's this high-powered lawyer and stuff. So from maybe another previous time to when Charlie was in jail or something. But who's to say? Oh, also, he then, with Charlie, with his harem, proceeds to rape Emma, essentially. But before that, I was like, I like this show. And then, like, it's dark, but it's like, it's kind of dark in a cool way. And then it really took a turn with lots of rape and implied rape.
Oh,
Yeah, prior to the first rape scene, it was just... I mean, it was dark in that you knew something sinister was going on, but other than that, it was just, vulgar. I mean, there's like language. There was a boob. I remember like
a boob.
Yeah, like right at the beginning.
Yeah,
there
right
was,
at the
like, a
beginning.
boob.
I remember I saw a boob and I was like, "Hang on, this was an NBC show."
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's
Oh.
exactly what I said that out loud. I was like, wait, I thought this was on NBC.
Yeah. So I did a little
what the
research, and it
internet
turns
says.
out that they essentially shot and edited like two versions of this show. They were kind of being experimental with it. This was 2015, right?
Yeah.
So like they, shot and edited it with the intention that they were gonna, air it on NBC, but they also did a weird thing where they, the night of the premiere of the first episode, they made the entire season available on Hulu. Yeah. And then they also...
So what you're saying is like the normies with regular TV and that weren't like privy to Hulu yet. We're
Just
like,
had to watch this week
we're
after
just-
week.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I think probably
a-holes?
the idea is trying to do something weird in between where it's like you can have people that use streaming binge it, and then maybe that'll get some conversation going, and then maybe people will watch it on NBC. But then, that they had these cuts that were more vulgar and violent to eventually release on streaming or DVD like after the show's done. So the version that we have on Netflix is their like uncut, unrated version, which was also released on DVD like after that season.
Okay.
But even like
Interesting.
from seeing this episode, like that first boob, I was like, okay, that's something pretty easy to like edit out. But then like
Sure.
all of the other stuff, I'm just like, man, they would have had to like
Everything else?
reshoot entire scenes.
Yeah.
Or just cut entire plot points. Like, how do you do that last scene where Charlie's confronting the dad and attempting to rape him? Like, how do you cut that for NBC?
I feel like they've like shown like way weird, like grosser stuff on like CSI, but like not as like, I don't know, like graphic in a different way, I suppose. You know, like this definitely seems worse than like weird dead body stuff or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely. Well,
I realized I realized while we were watching this, I was like, what do I even like know about Charlie Manson, like really at all. I know like a couple things. And then I don't know if you guys have seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
that Quentin Tarantino?
Yeah.
Wait. I might be thinking of something else.
Yeah, maybe you're thinking of something else.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is Quentin Tarantino's latest movie.
Yeah, it's a movie
okay.
that
Then
came
no.
out last year surrounding the Sharon Tate murders. When I watched that at home like a few months ago, and when I was watching it and like Charlie Manson stuff started to show up, I was like, wait a second, I need to like read the Wikipedia on what happened. So I like paused the movie, read Wikipedia for like 15 minutes, and I was like, okay, continue.
Yeah. So I'm like, what I know about this is basically the random things that I've like kind of like picked up throughout the years, and the like 6 months ago when I watched that movie is what I know.
I was definitely thinking of Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yeah, definitely different, Jimmy. Very, very different.
Marilyn
the show
Manson's
definitely
in that
has
one.
It's Robert
Marilyn Manson.
Rodriguez. So.
Yeah, it's Robert Rodriguez and Marilyn Manson.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, the show definitely has like an interesting feel because it like every time it's like Charlie Manson's on TV or on the screen, it's like this is weird and creepy, and I don't like this. You make me uncomfortable. This is awful.
Yeah,
And
he
then
does a
it's
great
like,
job at that.
Yeah, I guess he
Yeah.
does a really good job. And then when it's like Sam and Brian, like buddy cop detectives, like trying to like solve a crime, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this feels different.
Yeah, now that
what
you
I-
mention it, that does, like, whenever David Duchovny is on screen, it's a whole nother show than when the Charlie Manson characters on screen.
Right?
I feel like David Duchovny, like, smiles too much for, like, what's going on.
Yeah, he's just chummy Mulder,
Yeah.
which doesn't really work for me.
And he's kind
But
of
all the
got
other
this, like,
stuff-
weird, like, military-esque haircut, but, like, not short enough. It's just kind of, like, square guy haircut.
Yeah, yeah. They make references to that because like Officer Schaeff or whatever, he's been undercover, and they're like gonna make him be like a beat cop or something. So they're gonna shave his head. They're gonna shave his head to be a cop cut, unless he goes undercover with Duchovny.
He's got to save those locks, Jimmy.
Mm-hmm. It's all about the locks.
You know.
Do anything to save those
Do
locks.
what you gotta do.
Hmm.
Do you know that guy? His name. So okay. So here we had David Duchovny. We all know that. What is his name?
The guy who
Something-
played Brian?
Oh no, wait, yeah. Brian is Gray Damon is his name, which is kind of a wild name. Gray Damon. Maybe is he British? I didn't look at his. It sounds very British. And then Charlie Manson is Gethin Anthony. Is that right? He's Renly Baratheon. I can't talk today.
Oh, he was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he was a big character throughout Game of Thrones. And then Emma, her name is actually Emma Dumont, and I recognize her from the horrible, failed Marvel show called The Gifted. Well, I think it's failed. I think there was a second season for some reason. That was probably the worst of the DC or the like superhero things to be made thus far, and that's saying something.
Yeah, nobody besides David Duchovny I recognized in this show. Like, nobody.
I recognized Renly Baratheon, but I couldn't place him until I saw the IMDb.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't even know if I recognize that guy.
Gray Damon was in some. He's been in some stuff. He's in that firefighter show now, Station 19, I think it's called.
I was like the one with Rob Lowe, but I think that's a different
Maybe.
like cop.
I feel like there's
firefighter
like
show.
3 or 4 of them going on right now. He was in
Like-
The Last Ship, which I never saw, but I saw ads for all the time, and I feel like I just assume it's about some sort of ghost pirate ship. I don't Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know.
I mean, that sounds great. I'd watch that.
Maybe we'll watch that. I'm pretty sure it's over. Might be my next pick. Don't pick it.
I've already forgotten what it's called, so don't worry about it.
Other thing I was gonna say is that there was this pretty solid. Didn't hear any Beatles, which I was hoping for, but we did. There was a solid soundtrack, including early on was the song "Everybody's Been Burned" by the Byrds, which was a big '60s band, and David Crosby of Crosby, Stills and Nash, his first big band. But we also had The Who, The Doors, Jefferson Airplane, lots of LSD, involved music.
Right, you'd assume that this show, if anything, should have a really, really good soundtrack to it.
Right.
For like whatever good 60s and 60s music that they can like license out and get, they probably tried to nab. Maybe a reason why it was eventually canceled. It maybe just cost way too much money.
Yeah.
They're like, we can't keep buying all these tracks.
Somebody's collecting those royalties.
Right. I mean, so Jimmy, does this mean that when you watch this first episode, you want to just dive right into the second one? Feel all those weird feelings? Really, really experience this firsthand?
Until I would like to go back and see the second before the rape started. Because whatever timestamp that had, I was like, I thought the show looked really good. I was like, they threw some money at the cinematography.
Yeah, it does look expensive.
It looks good, and like it was dark in a creepy way, but not in an off-putting way, in like an intriguing way, until the rapes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can see why it was canceled, I guess. This would be hard.
You can already see why it was canceled.
I just think NBC is not the spot for this show.
I mean, like period pieces in general are usually expensive just because like everything has to be like, you can't just like walk outside and just film outside kind of thing, because everything should look a certain way, especially with all the hippies and stuff and whatnot in the show. And their weed budget's probably really big. So yeah. I could see that. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if it like keeps up, because it definitely had a feel, and it was very off-putting. And I mean, I could see something like this actually doing like really well. I'm like, I mean, it would probably be slightly different, but if it was on like an AMC or like even HBO, like a Charlie Manson show on HBO would probably be like fucking insane. Like it'd be so good.
Yeah, it kind of feels like something for like FX.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Or FXX, perhaps.
I don't even know.
Yeah. It doesn't seem to be like one of those shows where like when we watched Mr. Robot, you're like, this is USA. This is amazing. It seems like we're watching this and it's like, this is pretty good, but like, I don't think NBC can keep this up.
Yeah.
And especially if they're making like,
Yeah.
well, especially if they're making like 2 episodes per one episode by like that weird editing and doing it. That's what TV people thought. Like that was a good idea, was like, let's make the TV show once a week, but let's make a different cut for streaming.
Yeah.
And they're totally
with a boob.
And they're totally going to watch the edited down one weekly on TV instead of just binge watching the whole thing on Hulu when it came out.
Yeah, I wonder what the numbers are like for streaming versus weekly. Like, did they get enough interest for people to watch it streaming? I'd never heard of this show.
I have like weekly TV, it looks like there was like 5.6 million viewers on the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good for 2015.
Yeah. 2015, 5 million is pretty good.
Oh.
But I don't see anything that really says, views.
Like streams.
Online, yeah.
Yeah, because it says the Nielsen ratings reflect the TV broadcast, that they do not include the online. It says binge watching that was made possible by releasing the complete series on demand even before TV broadcasts. Those online view numbers, however, are not publicly available. So,
but how many
NBC
boob pauses were there?
NBC claims that they helped gain insight into online viewing behavior. Well, of course it would have.
I mean,
And they're like, well, nobody watched it.
but we gained insight. Also, we're not on Hulu anymore. We're on Netflix.
Yeah, just everything just flops
Because
around.
we're not ABC.
Imagine if that happened like in other things, like in video games, if just every couple years like Halo was on PlayStation, just like
Oof.
and then like Mario was on Xbox for a couple years, and then it went back to Nintendo, and then it went like it's just streaming's weird how that works.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man's just can be like a WB production now. Like, I mean, I guess it could eventually, but like Fox will never sell them. It's just interesting that streaming gets to they just trade, like, oh, when's The Office going to be off Netflix? When's it going to be somewhere else? That's the next big thing. That kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, that platform is not like, it's just all, we'll just upload it to this now. It's not like a video game where you can't do that.
Well, at least not yet. Not until they get the old Aquarius viewing where it's on everything. You can only play one chapter of a time of the new Spider-Man game. Well, you can stream all of it right away on a different platform. Should we dive into predictions?
Ooh, that's right.
Did you guys make any?
Couple.
Okay.
Mine just says rapes.
Oh, God, Jimmy.
Just kidding. That's terrible. Sorry.
My first one is that Charlie explains Helter Skelter or talks about it to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I would track.
Because I kind of feel like so mixing with the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think Sharon Tate is in this episode.
Alive?
Okay.
Just chilling?
Yeah,
Huh?
she just makes
Alive
a
and
cameo.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, I'm taking a point if we see a Sharon Tate gravestone too. I don't
Okay.
know.
It's somehow featured in the episode.
I think she's somehow featured in this episode.
Okay.
I think Sam, they made a specific thing. Well, right away. So in the first episode, Brian at some point wanted to be like, hey, we're trying to find this Emma girl. This is like not official. So if I need to get like some weed, but he said like, I need to get some dope.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they like talked about it, I was like, are they talking about weed? Like
Yeah.
as if like weed's a huge big deal.
Like it's like a secret thing.
Yeah. I forgot that 2020 is a little lighter on their weed references. And so I was like, oh, that's weird. But then Sam explicitly kind of they talked about how like his dad apparently did a lot of weed. And then he was like, Brian was like, have you ever smoked any? And he kind of like didn't admit to it, didn't whatever. So my prediction for that is Sam does weed.
Okay.
He does a weed.
He does
Yeah.
a weed.
He does a weed.
Singular.
And then my last one is that I think Sam and Brian get into a fist fight with some Manson thugs.
Okay.
Oh.
That's the action.
We got a sub boss battle.
Yeah, I think we'll just. I mean, not even a sub boss. I just think they're just random thugs that live in the like mansion compound, or I
Just
don't know,
like putty patrol, just goons.
Yeah, a random battle as they're walking through the streets.
Well, do you think it'll be side scrolling or
the random
like
encounter,
overhead view?
Turn based.
Yeah, random. This is they're gonna be like throw their Pokeballs at them, then they can use them in their next battle.
It's on Netflix, so it's gonna turn into like that Bandersnatch Black Mirror episode where we can pick like throw a jab, Sam, throw a jab.
Love it.
All right, those are mine.
Joseph gonna get married to Capacetti.
I've got that I don't know his name, but the lawyer dad. I think he's dead. Ken
Karn.
Oh, okay.
Ken Karn.
He's
dead.
kind of a. I mean, in all fairness, he's definitely kind of a piece of shit. So if anyone's gonna die in this, and I'm not gonna care, it's gonna be him.
Dead.
He's dead inside, so he'll be dead outside too.
Oh God.
I have that Charlie sings. He sang a little bit in the first episode.
Yeah, he. I feel like people in real life said he was actually like good at guitar and like good at songwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how he met the Beach Boys, right?
Probably.
He actually
yeah.
was in the music scene in some capacity.
Trying to get in. So yeah, he sings.
Nice.
I think Emma wields a knife. I think she's good with knives.
Okay.
And I
Sweet.
think I couldn't remember his name, so I wrote Young Cop, but his name's Brian, right?
Brian, yeah, young cop.
Young Cop eats a pizza.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
I'm curious. I didn't go. I'll be interested. I didn't go with the Emma scenario for some reason. I just kind of thought like, nah, she'll be gone after season 1 or something like that.
I kind of feel like she's gonna be a big deal.
I could see it. I assumed the same, that she was like by episode 2 they solved that case and now they're
She's just home. She's back in school.
But I could see it.
I could see
Okay.
her being like the informant or something, that like she's undercover working with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're gonna send a 16-year-old girl in that scenario to be undercover.
Just keep her part of the harem.
She's the informant who's good with knives.
Yep.
Okay. Looking forward to it. I guess I hope that Emma and Fam are still invested in the show, because Emma's mom, Grace, originally calls Sam, David Duchovny, because they have a history. They were exes. They did the business. And so my first prediction is that Sam is with Emma's mom. So maybe Ken is dead. He's dead or gone for sure. My number 2 is, I think we have a Beatles song. Maybe it's Helter Skelter. I hope so. But that would be, so this was LA 67, it said. So
yeah,
what year?
That was episode 1.
I think Helter Skelter is like 69 or something. So.
Well, I mean, like in
The White
TV
Album.
land, if a season is a year, which it all depends, who knows what this show's timeline goes, but we'd probably be in like 68 sometime.
Yeah, I don't think that's true with
Potentially.
this show. I want to believe that it's moving faster than that. Then I have some murders. I couldn't read my handwriting, so I think there's one or more murders. So maybe it is Sharon.
Like we see the murders.
Yeah, probably.
They're like, we're not like, we don't go to the police precinct and they're like, did you hear about the murders? Some guy got murdered the other day.
I guess I need to be more specific in that, since there's like police.
Did you hear that in LA someone got murdered last night? Jimmy gets a point.
I think the Manson family does murders.
All right, yeah.
One
okay.
or more murders. But I think if it's going to be historically accurate, didn't they wasn't like Sharon Tate and like a crew in one, they killed like 4 people in one night, and then they've killed a few people the next night, and so forth. I don't know. So I feel like
I don't
there's going to be
remember.
one. There probably should be more, but I'm saying one or more murders.
I
From
mean, they definitely did bad things on multiple nights. I know when like she got murdered. I think there was a couple other people there. So
yeah, that's what I thought. And then I think if it's like 69, I think we have a Woodstock reference.
Fair.
And
All right.
those are Spaghetti Jim's predictions.
all right, cool, sweet. Well, let's see if this show makes Jimmy uncomfortable still. In the last episode, it is called "I Will." Is the last episode of this show.
Murder.
It'll be interesting also to see if they got canceled and they maybe wrap this up in some fashion, or if we're just kind of left with a regular old season finale that would point to more show. So, only time will tell, and we will talk about that when we finish watching I Will, the last episode of Aquarius. We'll see you after that. And we're back. We're done with the final episode of Aquarius. It was called I Will. Jimmy, do you have a write-up?
I will read it.
Yay.
Ha!
Good job.
Okay. This is from the wiki, so that's who you can blame if you don't appreciate this. Write up. On August 7th, 1969, at 3:42 a.m., Sam concludes his missing girls case, who he finds out the identity of the killer to be a man named Gerald Dunn, a former convict. Ken returns to Spawn Ranch. Spawn? Spain?
Yeah. Spawn.
And convinces Charlie that he will now take care of him. He then spooked. Okay, who wrote this? This is translated. He gets spooked when he finds Emma and some of the Manson girls cleaning weapons, as he is explained by Charlie that it is part of Helter Skelter, and he doesn't know what that means. The next day at 9:18 a.m., Sam convinces Brian to arrest Dunn, as he finds out that he is the perpetrator of the missing girls case, but he is released due to lack of substantial evidence. At the ranch, Ken overhears Charlie on informing the rest of the family on an enacted plan and begs him to not take Emma with them. At 12:15 a.m., Tex and the rest of the family are seen outside a residence, and he proclaims that they will leave their mark after tonight. The family eventually enters the residence and brutally murders and mutilates a group of people that includes 3 men and 2 women, one of who is pregnant. And Emma was also told to murder the caretaker, a young man who lived in the guest house, but she spares him when she tells him to avoid being found. Sam finds Billy dead at her house, period. That's that whole sentence. Sam finds Billy dead at her house. So Billy is Sam's girlfriend?
Yeah.
So back at the
Or
ranch.
presumably.
Right, presumably. Back at the ranch, Charlie talks with Ken over his theory of a race war. And Ken is then choked and killed by Charlie. The family returns to the ranch only to be scolded by Charlie when he feels their actions were not good enough. And before he and Emma return to the residence, Charlie comments to Emma about Helter Skelter. What? Okay. Sam finally arrests and confronts the serial killer, Gerald, at his house. And he finds the next victim, who is locked in the trunk of his car, who Sam discovers to actually be Billy, alive and well. Well, alive anyway. At the precinct, Sam then says goodbye, but the precinct receives alarming call. And then Lieutenant Ed persuades Sam to return to the force. 16 hours later, the murder scene at the residence is identified to be the 10,050 Cielo Drive, including the finding of the housemaid Winfred Chapman. Those are the casualties involved. And that's the Sharon Tate, I believe.
Yeah. They even said when they were watching the news was reporting on it, and they said Sharon Polanski, and that's Sharon Tate.
That's her real name. Okay.
Yeah.
Stage name, Sharon Tate. At 12 a.m., Brian investigates the crime scene and injects himself with some sort of drug substance, which I assume is heroin, I guess. But it is, yeah. And then he calls Sam, probably black tar heroin. And he calls Sam and informs them that he's in trouble. Sam leaves the precinct. Credits roll. And I wonder how this went on for 2 seasons.
Yeah. When we finished this episode, you were like, what? I was just trying to figure out what
even if
what's
it
going
hadn't
on.
been canceled, like did they tie up that season? It didn't seem like they did.
They did the like infamous they did like the Sharon Tate murder thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then
they did the most infamous Charlie Manson thing.
Yeah.
Sure. But didn't
And
the family like the next day do like the other half of the murders that they did? So what?
Yeah, that's the season premiere, man, of season 3. What do you mean?
yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess. But then what's like the rest of season 3? What's
Yeah,
the
I don't know.
end game of this show?
Well, it seemed like they intertwined, like in this season, they must have intertwined that whole like other serial killer, Gerald Dunn, who I'm assuming is just that's a made up serial killer guy. I haven't done any research or looked up, but I just assume.
Yeah, it seemed kind of like Zodiac Killer-y.
Yeah, they were trying to like kind of mix then this Manson stuff with a different side murder and just kind of do both of them at the same time. And then you would assume that season 3 would still continue on with the Manson stuff for a little bit, and then I don't know. I could see them making a season 3 out of what they have. But it'd be really hard to not just get really weird with it, or just like completely go against what actually happened. Obviously they even have a little thing like it's based on true life, blah, blah, blah. Like, some things are real, some things are made up kind of thing. But like, I guess if you're watching a show with Charlie Manson in it, it's not like he can like then like keep traveling around and like murdering other people and like, I don't know, succeeding for a long time. They could have like a boring season where he's on trial or something.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what the necklace, they had like a necklace that he made them hide.
Yeah.
And I mean, from our limited amount of time, I was like, why is this special? And like, it seemed like Brian found it when he was at the crime scene and then did drugs and called Sam for some reason.
Yep.
So that was probably I'm assuming that they were showing it a lot and it meant a lot to Brian at the end. So I'm assuming if you were watching this show, you were like, oh shit. And if you weren't, then they did a bad job.
Well, yeah, I think one thing to note is that like we're able to see, and like because it's historical, we know that these murders, this was the Manson family and all of that, right? But the cops, especially Sam and Brian, don't know necessarily that Charlie Manson is involved in this. They're just finding out about this gruesome murder. So I think when Brian finds the necklace, he's tying it together that like, oh shit, it was Charlie and like Emma was there. Like, I assume that those are people that they're all familiar with at this point.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I think that that's part of that moment is maybe Emma leaves it there knowing. Oh no, because Charlie tells her to leave it there, right?
Yeah, Charlie made her to
Yeah.
put it down
He
somewhere.
drove
Okay.
her specifically back to do that.
Yeah.
The crimes had been committed.
He probably also drove her back specifically to not have her find her dead dad who he killed, like sitting on
Yeah.
like the saloon porch.
Very possible.
Yeah, so from like a TV perspective, like, you know, this whole Charlie Manson thing is like the inroad to the show, and like they know that they have to do like the big famous murder, and like they go through it here, but it seems like what they were trying to thread along was, okay, but now it's tying together like both sides of the story or something. But then the other part of that is like you guys are saying like this is it. This was the event. Like
Yeah.
what do you do after this? And I mean from the last time on there was a lot of other things going on. I mean not to mention like you know that whole other serial killer, but like Emma's mom has like a political thing going on.
Oh yeah.
So it seemed like they tried to thread in a lot of other storylines because there's you know limited material with the Charlie Manson stuff once you progress in time.
Right. Oh my God, that like Emma's mom's political campaign must be like I was like that must be just the most boring part about this
Yeah.
show. Like you're watching a show where some psychopath is like getting people to like kill people and like everything's nuts and there's some other crazy serial killer and then you're like, now let's cut to the mom of somebody who's running for office.
Yeah, what?
Ooh, she's trying to hide that her kid's in a cult. Like, come on now.
Yeah, the first episode was like deep Charlie Manson and, you know, investigating that. And by the end here, like, it was still pretty Manson focused because it was that big famous night. But like, it kind of gives the impression that like the rest of season 2 was probably just a lot of different things while they're just like treading water.
Like a lot of that other murderer guy.
Yeah. Just like, oh, we're introducing a whole nother murderer.
And if they make that an interesting like plot, like that doesn't seem bad by any means.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah. It had kind of a Hannibal feel for me. Only I liked that show.
Yeah.
Like, you know how like you got your plot that you assume, but then they're weaving in other stuff.
Right. In that you know that this guy's dangerous and that at some point you know he has to completely like fulfill his like dangerous tendencies, and it seemed like that did happen in Hannibal. At some point he was like fully the murderer that we know he is, but then the show continues on from there.
Right.
And I don't know that you could do that with a true to life thing unless you're gonna change the story.
Yeah, I mean, I can confirm, having now watched all of Hannibal,
Nice.
that they definitely do a good job of weaving in all of the movies, essentially. Pretty much everything from the movies, like, into at least parts of it, while creating their own stuff. And then...
Is that the most recent first and last show you've watched all of?
All of? Yes. I'm currently on season 3 of Community as well.
Oh, you're just now going through Community?
Yep. Finally.
I wish I could watch that show for the first time again.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I like Dan Harmon, so I'm getting the reason why people really like it. Interesting too, though, is because what is it? Is it the Dungeons and Dragons episode? It's got taken down.
Oh,
Why?
Because the dean. No, it got taken down. I think I don't know whose decision it was, but they took it down because the dean does blackface in that episode, I guess. I've never seen it, so I wouldn't know. So the dean does blackface because he's like supposed to be like a I don't know, he's an orc or something. I don't quite know what he does, but they took it down because it's in season 2 at some point, and I watched all of I'm in season 3, and someone was like, "Oh yeah, blah blah," and I was like, "No, I didn't see that episode. That episode never happened."
Cool, racism solved.
All
yeah,
right.
exactly.
Done. we did it.
What were we talking about though? I feel like I had
Aquarius.
Oh yeah. About just like how there is nowhere to go with the story. You're kind of tied down. I mean, like without completely spoiling Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but like it's hard to not talk about that when talking about this show because it deals in a lot of the same territory of its, the build up to the Manson murders. But the way that movie handles it is well, it's a movie, so it's just like, one episode. And so they can just end it right at like the big event that we all know about. But then they also do a weird thing where they just take like complete historical liberties with it and make it something completely different and interesting. Which I don't know. I mean, like some people didn't like that, I feel like, but at least it makes it something that you can work with better to fit whatever story you're trying to tell rather than just like, having to stick to generally what happened. I assume the Emma character doesn't exist in real life, and that's just a made up character.
Most likely. It's, they do a lot of times when they take like a bunch of people and they make them like one character, or they do it the other way around.
Yeah, I assume that whole family is. I don't think because we see Charlie, like Emma's dad calls Charlie out and is like, "You're not even a murderer. You have these other people do your stuff for you," and then Charlie murders him. But I don't think Charles Manson was ever accused of murdering some lawyer guy or anything. So yeah, it's probably fictional.
Yeah, so it's it kind of you're one hand tied behind your back with trying to stick to the story as much as possible.
Yeah. Quentin loves doing like historical fiction though.
Yeah, and then just blowing it up.
And he's good at it. But
I mean,
that's what it is going into it. And it did say that in this show, but it just doesn't quite work for me. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like, if you're interested in like Manson or like just like a dark kind of like show like this, watch Hannibal first. If you want to know what this I mean, there was good stuff in this episode, and I am like mildly interested in it in this show. It could be good, but it could just not hit the mark either, kind of. So I'm kind of like on the fence of whether or not I think I actually want to watch this. Having seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I mean, if you've seen a Quentin Tarantino movie, I mean, I guess you kind of know at least kind of what it's going to be like, even if like the subject matter is completely different from time to time. There's going to be a lot of talking.
Sure.
And
there's going to be a reverence for movies.
Yeah, and stuff like that.
It's going to be feet.
So I would be honest in a way. I was like saying, he likes feet.
What?
If you like David Duchovny a lot, maybe go with the show. But if you don't, you're just into Manson, watch the movie. And then maybe watch a couple episodes of the show if you're still interested. It's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Not bad. Like 6.5 out of 10. 6 out of 10.
I think what's hard about...
We're giving out of 10 rankings now.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Straight Metascore or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I think what's hard about this whole premise to me is just why? Why would you make... Like, it's not like a documentary, or like Netflix did a lot of like they did the like Ted Bundy thing, and then they did their thing with what's his name, High School Musical guy,
Zac Efron.
Zac Efron, wasn't he Ted Bundy?
Yeah.
Their deal, like I'd watch that. And that's messed
But
up.
that's just because Zac Efron's a hunk and you're a fan.
Yeah,
That
for
has
sure.
nothing to do
For
with
sure.
Ted Bundy.
And Charles Manson's just not a hunk.
But was that a show or was that a movie?
I think it's episodic, isn't it? Or maybe. Well, I never
was
saw
it-
it clearly. I
Keep
don't know.
going.
I think there is something to be said about, like, I don't know that I want to watch a show with at least this iteration of Charles Manson. Like, for as much as he is like shown to be like a scary, creepy dude, he is also just like, if you strip that away, he's a guy who's like talking about his visions of the future, and he's like singing and playing guitar. Like, he's just like the most like douche bro ever, and like I don't know that I want to watch a show centered around that guy.
Yeah.
Also, really quick, Jimmy, the Zac Efron Ted Bundy thing was a movie. It was an hour and 50 minutes, and that was
Well,
it. I mean, I kind of agree. I feel like
Watch that.
doing like an interpretation and kind of switching around historical stuff, especially when it comes to just these psychos, like
Yeah.
a movie format works really well. It's one and done, and you're good.
Yeah. Docudrama. That's different than like historical fiction, where you're just going loosely based on facts, but just and then kind of just being dark for dark's sake. I don't know. It just feels sick to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just not my genre.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I think
people love
I think-
Aquarius.
I mean, I think we gave a lot of good examples of things that are kind of this but better.
Yeah. Now, predictions? Should we get into what we thought
Yeah.
Ooh.
was going to happen? I actually feel pretty happy with how this turned out for me. My first one was that Charlie explains Helter Skelter, and he
Would
like,
not stop explaining it.
he would not he would he like right away at the very beginning of the episode, Ken was like, "What is Helter Skelter?"
Yeah,
and
that
Charlie was like,
70% of Ken's lines. What is Helter
and
Skelter?
Charlie, yeah, and then eventually Charlie was like, "Let me talk for 15 minutes about this,"
And then murder you.
and then murder. So he definitely explained it. At one point, Ken asked like his daughter or some other, I don't know if it was his daughter or some other girl. He was like, "What is Helter Skelter?" And then they were like, "You're going to have to ask Charlie." And I was like, "Yeah, make Charlie explain it."
Nice.
Number 2, Sam does weed. No, he did not do weed. Sam and Brian fist fight Manson thugs. That did not happen. They were like barely in the same room together.
Mm-hmm.
And then for number 4, Sharon Tate. She was there.
She's there.
Wow.
I really did not expect them to like do that, murder that in this episode. I was like, "Oh shit. This is crazy."
Mm-hmm.
And the only like reason I knew what that was honestly from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was like,
Yeah.
"I know what this is." So, I'm taking 2 points.
So really, you're saying I should just go and watch that movie? Is that streaming somewhere?
Probably not,
I'll
but
check it out.
but it might be. It's good. If you can watch it, you should watch it.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph?
I had that the lawyer dad is dead. He died. Does that count?
I'd
think
say
that
he's
counts.
dead. Yeah.
All right, he's dead.
You didn't say
Um,
when he had to be dead. You just said he was
that's
dead.
true. Yeah. I have that Charlie sings, which he didn't. I have that Emma wields a knife, which was true.
Yeah.
During the night of the killings, she doesn't actually stab anyone, but she's handed a knife and,
She's
walks
holding
around
it.
with it. Yeah.
Yep.
Wields it for sure. And then I have that the young cop eats a pizza, which he does not. Doesn't eat it all.
He ate some drugs through his veins.
Yep. He's going to want a pizza later. I assume that's how that works. So yeah, 2 points then.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay, I had that Sam is with Emma's mom Grace, back with his old flame. They were not in the same scenes together. Grace's scenes didn't seem to even have any bearing on this
Or-
whole series.
or matter, or were good at all.
Wow, so bad. Okay, I thought that we would actually hear a Beatles song, and there was almost no. Kind of, who said it? Maybe Josh said it, that by the end of this series, it seems like they're not really using money on those royalties anymore. They played
Got
Sugar
too
Sugar
expensive.
by the Archies, and that was the one song I recognized. Sugar,
Charlie
sugar.
Manson did say the Beatles at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
about
There was
it,
mention of the Beatles for sure.
but they didn't. Yeah, we didn't hear it. Then I said some murders, and yeah, for sure, tons of murder. So one there.
I'd consider that some murders. You're right.
Thanks. And then I didn't hear a Woodstock reference. So maybe this happens before. I don't know what the date of Woodstock was, nor the date of this murder. So
August 8th, 1969.
that was the Sharon Tate and Co.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the episode it was August 7th. It said it was August 7th, and then I think it was the next day, the next night. And that's actually when the murders happened. So
August what?
8th.
Woodstock was until August 15th.
Oh, you were a week too early, Jimmy.
Through the 18th.
Well, I mean, it's not like they just sprung it on you, right? Did they know Woodstock was going to happen in a week? Or
Probably not.
I hear something's going on at Woodstock in a week. Maybe we should check it out. That's all you got to say.
In the Google, the next question is how many people died at Woodstock?
Oh, God.
3. 2 from drug overdoses and 1 by a tractor while the dude was asleep in a sleeping bag. Tractor collecting
God.
debris.
Just got,
17-year-old kid.
That's awful.
No confirmed births. Okay.
How many confirmed? Were there any confirmed? How many confirmed conceptions were there?
Oh, so many.
The rest. Everyone that didn't die confirmed conceived.
Okay. That's all I got.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, I guess that's it. That is Aquarius, and that is also First and Last, episode 152.
Ooh.
Thank you for listening, everybody in ether, which is the internet. If you want to hit us up, you can do so on Twitter or on Gmail at FNL Podcast. We have a Facebook as well. Jimmy does stuff, posts things on that, and
do stuff sometimes.
And then that's it. Also, if you would like to rate us 5 stars and help us be discovered, that would be fantastic. But besides that, we will see you next week for yet another episode of First and Last. Thank you very much, and good night. I assume they're listening at night because it's night when we're recording. So it must be night.
Some guy's like eating lunch and he's like, "What the hell? Good night."
Good night.